Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sam Kingery Show. Very excited to have you. Very excited to have on Mike to join this episode. Big thing this episode. This will be a variety episode. We're going to kind of go around a little bit around the horn. We're going to talk about baseball, college football coming up, um, a little bit of UFC, whatever we come up with in the sports world and the big American sports. We're going to think about. We're going to talk about. Just a little variety show so we keep coverage, diversify a little bit of coverage on this channel. If you're used to USA Soccer, don't you worry. USA Soccer and soccer things will still continue to come out. But just wanted to get a little round the horn, little roundup going because we had half an MLB season. We have college football preseason. SEC media day is kicking off. We've had some big UFC fights. We've had some other things happen in the sports world outside of our hoops podcast that we do, outside of our NHL podcast that we do. So we want to talk about it. This is a great place to do it. Happy to have you. Happy to have you, Mike. So let's start off with let's go on the most pertinent information. MLB. We had a first half just wrapped up. We just had the All-Star game in Philly. We had a beautiful ceremony celebrating America 250. Whoop whoop! Happy birthday, America! And we had a very fun home run derby in which my St. Louis Cardinal Jordan Walker took home the crown over hometown hero Kyle Schwarber. Exciting home run derby. I think people really enjoyed the new format, not the new old format of like it's based on swings rather than a timer. What about you, Mike? I liked that a lot more, the swing base round
Oh,
rather
I thought
than
I thought it was great. It shows you like what a true batting practice kind of looks like
yeah,
on a natural stage, and you're not just going swing trying to put everything into
yeah,
it. You can actually focus on a pitch.
yeah. And there's been some like famously with Cal Raleigh last year. There's with the timer one, I feel like a lot of people saw like guys stretching to hit and like kind of adjusting their swing and just trying to get hacks off, and it kind of messed with their swing. And I mean, Cal Raleigh hasn't really been the same since. So maybe there's something to the timing one throwing off people's internal timing and their swing. So I think the swing based is a lot more fun. It's more exciting. And it was very fun. It was a great derby. I think it brought a lot of eyes on baseball. And Jordan Walker took home the crown. And he went from a name that Cardinals fans and that baseball people knew, but to like more of a household name. And I'm very glad for that because he deserves it. He's having a great year. And he's leading this resurgent young Cardinals team, a team that was picked to be one of the worst teams in the league and rebuilding. And the Cardinals said a lion does not concern themselves with a rebuild. And they're a young, exciting team and very glad about that. So, um, anything
My my team's been a roller coaster.
ever since, ever since that All-Star break and before it, Mike's team, the Boston Red Sox, they've ripped off how many in a row? 16?
They had won 15 in a row. They lost the second game of their doubleheader yesterday, but they won again today. But being a Red Sox fan this year, they fired Alex Cora in April. You have an interim manager.
They
At one
looked
at one
awful.
one point they were 15 games under 500, and then all of a sudden they've run off like 18 of 20, and they're actually in the second wild card, a half a game up on Cleveland,
Yeah,
and all of a sudden they're 5 games above or 4 games above 500 now,
yeah.
and they're just rolling. And they haven't. What the crazy thing about them was they just couldn't hit. They had the best pitching,
They
the
they
second
couldn't
best
find
ER.
consistency at all throughout the order.
They've been derailed by injuries this year, from Roman Anthony to Marcelo Meyer to Garrett Crochet, but they've had the second best staff ERA in the major leagues. Their pitching has carried them. There was at one point before they rung off this winning streak, they had 16 quality starts from their starters in a row, and they only went 8-8 in those games because they couldn't score. So when that winning streak was just inevitable once they figured out their bats. And now all of a sudden you went from a team that was talking about selling Aroldis Chapman, selling Sonny Gray, selling Wilson Contreras, and going into the complete implode rebuilds. And now I think there's only 5 teams at this upcoming trade deadline, which is August 3rd. that are actually going to sell. Because the AL, I mean, yeah, I know you follow probably the NL more than the AL because of
Much
being a
more,
Cardinals
especially the
fan.
NL Central. Yeah, absolutely.
But the AL is such a cluster right now that I mean, you have the Astros sitting 4 games under 500, and they're only 5 games out of a playoff spot.
Yeah, the AL has not been good, but thankfully the entire AL basically has not been good outside of the top teams. So it's wide open for everybody, and that does drop down the amount. I am a little scared for you. We do have an interesting little history because of both the history between the Red Sox and the Cardinals and the current history as Chaim Bloom came over, became our general manager, almost exclusively did deals with Boston this past offseason. And now you have Wilson Contreras and Sonny Gray on your team. I'm a little scared that they brought a little bit of that Cardinals devil magic where we're going to rattle off a historic win streak, but still not amount to anything to you. If
Can
that's
can
what
you
happened, I
can you agree?
apologize.
Can you agree that Sonny Gray was the biggest All-Star snub?
Sonny Gray, very, very much. I have my own personal hometown guy, which I think is an all-star stub, leading second baseman in WAR this season. JJ Weatherholt doesn't make the All-Star game, but I think the problem with the All-Star game is that it's one of the worst in all of professional sports, the baseball one, in terms of popularity contests. There were guys in that All-Star game that have not had good years that are just oh they
Ernie Clement was a starter for the American League, and he hasn't had a good year. And he was only a starter because he's has very good popularity from the World Series last year.
exactly. You have guys getting on these teams that are like not hitting at all, and it's just because 3 years ago, it's just because in their career they've been a perennial all-star. It doesn't matter that they're not right now or this season. It's just because they've made 4 all-star games, so we'll give them another.
Like
So yeah,
Sonny Gray is sitting at 12-1 with a 2.48 ERA, and he
yeah,
doesn't make the All Star game.
yeah. I mean, and yeah, and JJ Weatherholt's will win Rookie of the Year. Reds fans that are propping up their first baseman. He's a solid first baseman. He's not leading a position in WAR. He's not one of the best defenders of the league with a good bat. So that's a little ridiculous from the Reds. Um, but yeah, no, I agree. Sonny Gray was one. JJ Weatherholt. It is a problem with the MLB All-Star game. They do need to change the fan voting aspect because big markets and people will vote.
I do respect what they do, giving a legend a spot. You know, like
Yeah,
giving Kershaw the one last year, on his retirement season, a chance to be a part of the game.
yeah,
This year they did that with Verlander. I would assume if Scherzer was healthy on a team, he would probably
of
have the
course.
same thing. Like
Yeah.
I do like the respect that they do with that,
Baseball has a good
but
history of respecting the older players. That's true. But the popularity contest lends itself to the big names of past and of names from rosters like the Yankees and the Dodgers, even though they might not have the best season. Um,
like I mentioned, Ernie Clement, 293, 8 homers, 32 RBIs on a team that's in last.
and then look up look yeah, and then look at other guys' stats, and you're like,
Like
why is
Nick,
this guy?
but then Nick Kurtz didn't make it.
Yeah, and he's arguably the best in the league in his
One of the
position, one of the best at what he at the level he's playing at.
If anybody wants to know, anybody wants to see a Sam Kingery doppelganger, just Google Nick Kurtz from the A's.
Really? I know.
I sent you that.
Oh, you did. There is a little bit of 100 pound less me in Nick Kurtz. Certainly not a good baseball player. I couldn't even see the ball. Now it didn't help that when I was in little league, I was facing guys that are all every single guy became a college pitcher in my hometown for some reason. So every single guy was good. It was a little ridiculous. Um, Shout out the shoes.
JJ Weatherholt's minus 160 to win Rookie of the Year.
He's. Have you seen him play?
Yeah, he's really good.
I wanted to let's the road. What the Cardinals cannot develop a pitcher. They can't do it. Their best pitchers in history have all been trades. What we can do, by God, is we can develop a second baseman. We've went from Colton Wong to Tommy Edman to Brendan Donovan to JJ Weatherholt. Isn't that incredible? What a 10-year run of second baseman that is. It's unbelievable. The it, it, the first half of the MLB season to me was almost a tale of two leagues. I don't know if you thought it. The AL is all bad and no one can get ahead except for the big teams, and the NL is a good team bloodbath. The NL Central was all above 500 until like late June, and the worst team in it's the Reds, 48 and 54 right now, and they still have a lot of talent on that roster.
Yeah, it's been a weird year. Like you mentioned the NL, like you have it's I mean, even you can go down to like I mentioned like we talked about it off camera, like the Padres. When have they ever been in a position that you're like, are they gonna sell?
Yeah,
And they're
with the
sitting there four games out of the playoffs. It's like they're not out of it
yeah.
either.
Yeah, and with that roster, you'd expect so much more. The Brewers just simply can't lose, and the Brewers are constantly dealing with injuries. I as a Cardinals fan, it was a little delightful for me to see. But the Cubs, a team that has the payroll and the team where you're expecting them to be a contender, where they still might be, and they're still a very good team,
The
but
Cubs, the Cubs are like they win 10 in a row, lose 10 in a row, win 10 in a row, lose 10 in a row.
they immediately, it's weird. They immediately to start the season lost like their top three pitchers. They still haven't really gotten them back. And yet the pitching hasn't been the problem. It's been a consistency of the lineup. Some nights the lineup they score 20
Alex Bregman's been terrible for them.
and some nights the lineup they score 20 runs and then the next night they lose a game 2-0. It's just Jekyll and Hyde with them a lot of times. Of course, in the MLB, we have, of course, the Titans of the sport and the Dodgers and the Yankees, both with good seasons on their hands. The Rays are leading the AL East, though.
The Red Sox have stormed back so much; they're only 4 games in the loss column behind New York.
Yeah, and
They're only 6.5 out of the division. That division's wide open.
yeah,
It could be Tampa, it could be New York, it could be Boston. Because continue this heater. I mean, they're talking about adding like a high caliber bat. They want another starter. Like they're talking about really buying for that team. If they can keep the mojo and get the right guys into that clubhouse, like that division's wide open. And even like you look at the AL Central, the Tigers are in last, or I mean, well, Kansas City's in last, but the top 4 teams in that division, the Tigers were expected to be good, and they're 4 games under 500, but they're only 5 games back of the division because of what the division is.
yeah, it's yeah, and it's weird. It's weird, like you mentioned. There's a lot of teams that won't be sellers though, so I'm interested to see how many teams want to.
It's like the Tigers are one of those teams that are in a weird spot, right?
Yeah,
Do you if you decide to sell, do you sell Scooble? And what do you get in return?
yeah,
But if you feel like you can actually compete, do you still trade Scooble to try to get MLB right now guys
yeah,
that can help you? Like it's even looking at the AL West, like the Rangers are 52 and 51 leading that division.
yeah,
The Mariners are in second, 2 games under 500. Astros are right behind them, 3 games under 500.
yeah,
Are the Astros going to sell? Probably not. Are Seattle's going to buy, but even the Rangers, they're one of those teams in that spot. Like they're good, but they're not. Corey
yeah,
Seager can't stay healthy. Is it worth buying into this team, or do you stand pat?
yeah.
Like they're one.
There's so many teams that are right there in that conversation. And then there's the other interesting part of the season so far that there are teams that were definitely picked in the top 10 power rankings to begin the year that are have been awful. And the Red Sox are one of them until this streak. The Blue Jays and the Orioles are at the bottom of the American League East, despite the Orioles are only 4 games under 500, but the Blue Jays are 10. And then we have in the NL East, the Mets are
but
43
like
and 51. A
like you talk
horrible
like
season.
you talk about the Blue Jays. It's like, but what pieces do they have that they can sell? Like
Yeah.
they're not selling Vladdy. They're not selling that
No.
Japanese third baseman that they just signed. I can't remember his name, Akamoto or something like that. I think he homered today. But like they're not like, what are they going to sell? Gosman and maybe some of their bullpen. Like they
Yeah.
don't have like desirable pieces that you can get a lot of value back. And you got to think that they're just going to try to retool and try to make a run next year.
That's the interesting part about a lot of these teams that are like in the bottom of the league is that they're teams that you don't expect to be sellers, and despite the Mets being 43-61, are they really going to move off some of their guys, especially their big guys? No, like
I
it's
could
an
see
interesting problem.
if it's a big guy, the Mets move off. They're gonna move off in Lindor, and
Yeah,
because there's a there's been it's been out there that Lindor has an issue with Soto. So if you have
it
those your
has.
two super, so if you have your two superstars not getting along, they're not trading Soto.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
we can use your Cardinals for example. They're sitting there 52-51, 2.5 games out of the playoffs.
yeah.
What do you do if you're Kai and Bloom? Do you believe enough in this team that they can buy and make a run?
I think the
I,
Cardinals actually defend.
or do you stand pat?
I think the Cardinals actually definitively have an answer compared to the rest of these teams because they're the youngest team or second youngest team in baseball. That if somebody's willing to go in for like a Lars Nootbaar, that you're fine with losing that piece. You're obviously not going to give away any of your young guys you're trying to build around, but I think the Cardinals are actually one of the teams that are in a position where they actually know what they're going to be. They know that they're down to be some sort of sellers to improve and then keep going because what they're looking at is being a contender in the next 2, 3, 4 years. These other teams that are
But
that are in this
hold on,
position,
hold on. When you talk about the Cardinals, though, do you trade? Do you if you're high you mentioned the 2 or 3 years you want to continue to keep push and keep this window open and make the playoffs. And if you're looking to trade, do you look for a controllable piece that you can have for 2 or 3 years? Like, for example, like a link. Like, I'm not saying they'll do it because Ivan Herrera has been great.
yeah,
Like, just as an example, like a Soderstrom from
yeah.
the A's, or like a Langoliers from the A's, like who you have team control over for two or
Yeah,
three years.
I
Like,
think it depends on the age. I think the age and what position. So that we're looking for pitching. We'd be looking for an outfield bat, somebody who plays center field. I think it either has to be somebody that has a really good contract that we feel and is young that we feel can grow with the team, or it has to be basically pitching prospects to the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are uniquely one of the teams that are sitting around 500 that actually know what they have a direction in comparison to these other teams that are like we're expecting to contend, but we're sitting 3 games below 500. What like do we sell or do we go for it in comparison?
so like the Red Sox, for example, they've been linked now. They've been linked to like Zach Neto from the
Yeah,
Angels. They've been linked to try to get another middle of the lineup bat. Like the Brewers have called Detroit on Scoobel.
yeah. Tom
So like,
Scooble and Mizrowski at the top would be God. Please
they
don't let that
also
happen.
can you imagine getting here's another one. They checked in on Mason Miller too. Can you imagine getting 7 innings of Miz to get Miller in the eighth and then Uribe in the ninth?
And then the next night you get to go on with Scooble or something. Yeah, it's please the Brewers have enough. I mean, I don't know how they keep doing it. It's like they take an injury and it doesn't matter to them. Um, yeah, it's the team. It's just so weird that that some of the worst teams in the league are the teams that were like we beefed up and we're ready. The Orioles, the Blue Jays, and the Mets especially. It's just so weird to see how. And then you have the resurgent teams that weren't supposed to be good, and the Cardinals and the White Sox are leading the AL Central. A Jerry
Nate,
Reinsdorf
can,
owned team is leading a division.
can we talk about that? We don't really say this much about trades working for both teams involved, but could you argue that the Crochet deal has worked for both teams?
I think so.
The Red Sox got their superstar pitcher, and then all three of those major pieces in that trade for Crochet are in the major leagues right now.
Yeah,
In Braden Montgomery, Kyle Teal, and Chase Mydroth.
yeah. I think that the Red Sox, all their deals have been good for both teams. It appears so far between the Cardinals and that to the White Sox, and then the big deals. A lot of the big deals from this past summer have been awful. It's weird. Like you know, it just hasn't helped. Pete Alonso hasn't helped the Orioles. I mean, they're only 4 games below, but they're not where they want to be. Um, it's just weird. Like it's been a season of surprise teams so far, and then a season of just weird. And then you'll have your typical bottom feeders of the Rockies
Sorry,
and A's.
to go back to the Crochet real quick. The Red Sox are doing this without him.
Yeah,
Can you imagine if they get him back? If he comes back this year, they get him back up for a playoff push.
yeah.
Like that. That's good.
I'm just
That's almost as good as getting any trade deadline accuracy.
I'm warning you. If it's something they brought from the Cardinals, this is really you enjoy this now because you're going to get into the wild card and they're going to lose. I know how this game works.
They need infield. I think they need more depth in the infield. They need a right-handed bat, and they could use another piece in bullpen. And catcher, if it's the right deal, I think they need to upgrade as well. But it's just going to be dependent on. I mean, you have to argue Craig Breslow's managing for his job. Or I'm
Yeah,
sorry, they've gone 21-3 in their last 24 games. They've done. You challenged them to prove to you they deserve a bye on this team.
yeah,
They've done it. Now you have to go out and prove that you actually believe in them.
yeah. You know, what's also interesting about the Red Sox is it's been without Roman Anthony too.
No Roman Anthony, no Trevor Story, no Marcel Meyer, no Garrett Crochet.
Yeah, all the guys you expected to be key parts of a run like that.
Now Boston media has ran with that, other than the Crochet piece, and they've made points on like their talk radios and things like that of
Boston Talk Radio, baby.
where they said that as soon as they got those young kids out of the clubhouse, like they sent Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony to go rehab away from the team started winning.
Yeah, those guys are so good that I
No,
hope
I'm not
that's
saying
not
that.
the case for you.
I'm not saying like, hey, trade them. But I'm saying
No,
like the mindsets of like you have older guys or guys that were considered busts that are trying to make their mark and grind out, and you have all guys with like a Wilson Contreras grind
yeah,
out mentality that
yeah.
rubs off in the clubhouse.
And
And
you have to have that in baseball.
maybe those guys don't have that mentality yet
Yeah.
because they've been so hyped up coming up.
I also think that it's just when you get into a full MLB season, and listen, baseball players, even young baseball players, we know this with the travel ball and how ridiculous it is these days. These guys play baseball all the time. I don't want to say that they're not used to playing all the games they're playing, but I think the MLB's slog of playing a whole 162 is also, you kind of have to have guys that like Wilson Contreras and like guys that understand that this is a daily grind, and that's just how Dana Beers, that's baseball. That's just how it is. And these guys are used to it because you come up playing club ball and legion ball and travel ball and ball for your school, and you're playing so much baseball that they're used to playing all the time. But a whole MLB season, I also think, lends itself to even greater difficulty. Um, who?
Here's an interesting one since you're an NL Central guy. The Mariners have expressed interest in trading for Spencer Steer.
Hmm, interesting. I look up.
That's an interesting one because he's a good young player.
He is. I think it's going to depend on what the Reds view themselves as. Do the Reds view themselves as a younger roster or a roster that they're trying to contend with? And if they want to keep a younger player or if they want to move off of him, um, you know, he has had a decent season, I would say. Uh,
16-40. I mean, not
yeah,
terrible. He's hit
no,
20 home runs in the last 3 years.
yeah, yeah. I could see it. It just depends on what they view their themselves as in the moment. Who do you think outside of the Mets and the Blue Jays, who has been the
Or
most
The
disappointing team?
the Giants.
Fair answer. It's a very fair answer.
You could argue Kansas City as well.
Oh yeah, Kansas City. I forget about them. Yeah, at the bottom. Yeah, 43-62 with that team is tough. Really tough.
Same thing with the Giants. They had good pieces. Matt Chapman hasn't been very good this year, but they'll probably trade him. Luis Ariz has been back to his batting 315 self. Everybody thought that Devers would come in and just do well in that ballpark, and he just hasn't. And their pitching other outside of Robbie Ray has just been bad. And I feel bad for for that guy they hired, that manager they hired who they brought from college. I
Oh,
can't remember his
from
name.
Tennessee. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just been a complete disaster.
That was one of the. I think it might have been the first time a guy's ever gotten full control MLB manager from college.
It is, and it's just hasn't worked out. And you would think I mean, I feel bad for Buster Posey because he's tried his best to make this team decent, and it hasn't performed. And
No.
now he's gonna be behind the blow up of this team, and he's gonna end up trading Devers for pennies on the dollar, Adames for pennies on the dollar,
Yeah.
Chapman, Ariz, like all these guys, they're not gonna get what they want.
No. No. They're so far out of it. Um when is trade deadline?
August 3rd.
August 3rd. Yeah, so these moves are gonna start happening quick. Um they're just it's been such an interesting year, I think. Um so far, and I mean there's still so much baseball to play, but man, some of these teams have
They're
just not played well.
they're game 102. So there's 60 games to go.
60 games to go. Who do you see as there's a lot of teams that are contending obviously for wild card spots, but who do you see as real contenders right now?
In the AL, probably Houston, Seattle, and depending on what Detroit does, probably Detroit. They just dug themselves in such a big hole to begin the year. They're starting to play really better baseball. I don't see the Twins hanging on up there. I think the Orioles will probably fade. The Blue Jays aren't really going to make a run either. I think in the NL is where it's interesting because you see the Padres sitting there at 4 games back. Do they buy? They've always bought, but do they actually buy or do they sell?
Yeah.
The Marlins are sitting there 3 games back, but they've lost 10 in a row. Does the GM there have real belief to buy when they've just been slumping? Like,
Yeah.
what does Hyam do? Do the Pirates actually buy and try to get Skeens into the playoffs?
Yeah. Can they get Skeens freaking wins? That guy goes up, throws 7 great innings, and they still lose.
I mean, I could really honestly, with how it is right now, with those 3 teams in the wild card, I could see it ending like that with the D-backs, Phillies, and Cubs.
Yeah.
Like Phillies and Cubs for sure, but the Diamondbacks could fade. But that's also another team too. Wasn't really expected to take the jump that they did, and they're back in the wild card, 6 games above 500.
Yeah.
8-2 in their last 10 games. Does that give enough belief for them to add another piece, add some more pitching to that team?
Yeah.
So you have a lot of teams like we were talking about. I mean, I see in the NL, I see 3 for sure sellers and Rockies, Giants, and Mets. Maybe Cincinnati if they continue to fade like they have. And then in the AL, it's the Angels, the Royals, the A's, and maybe Toronto.
Yeah.
So you're sitting at 6, 7, or 8, 7, maybe 8 teams at the most that are going to sell. That doesn't leave. There's going to be bidding wars. Some players are going to get moved, but there's going to be some teams that really overpay. Or there are teams that just be like, the Cardinals or the Astros. They're just going to stand pat.
Yeah.
Hope that they just continue to get better.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much where they're going to be. I also forgot about another NL team to shout out. The Washington Nationals doing a full. We score a lot of runs, but we also give up a ton. Season 52-52, 569 run scores, but 544 against.
See, that's a team too. What are they gonna do? Are they gonna sell like a CJ Abrams?
I don't think
Or
so.
like like, do you buy on that team either? Like, do you try to get them some pitching? Like, what are they gonna do?
I think there's so many teams that like want, and this is true of baseball just in general, that like want something that's so hard for a team like the Nationals and the Cardinals to like commit, and it's just going to be down to their GMs either making savvy moves or just standing pat. I don't think either team is going to make a splash.
No, no, I'm not saying like, hey, go get Scooble for the
Yeah,
Nationals. But like, do
I'll take one.
they?
I'll take them on the Cardinals. I won't lie, but yeah,
I mean, I think any team would take them,
yeah,
but
no,
I mean, the Cardinals pitching is so bad.
it's so bad.
It,
But there's a couple of the younger guys that have had decent season. Like Dusty Mayes kind of came on a little bit. You have McGreevy's had a pretty decent season. Um, McGreevy finally dropped his ERA. It was below 2, but now he's 4-8, but he's a 3.07 ERA. Liberatore it's just the back end that's so bad. But Dustin May and Michael McGreevy haven't had horrible seasons.
I mean, here's the Nationals. Their starting rotation right now is Kay Cavalli, Miles Mikolas, Zach Littell, Foster Griffin, and
wait,
Andrew Alvarez.
Miles Michaelis is their what? Oh, he's their fifth starter. I was gonna say what's 5-6. God bless.
Yeah,
That guy.
he's so bad this year.
That guy. Yeah, that guy.
5 point like they only have I think they only have one starter under a 3.5 ERA.
Yeah. Yeah, they're both kind of in that position, but I don't know if either team is old enough or feels like they can do a lot more than just like maybe get rid of like a guy and get some prospects in the system. Because they're both
Yeah,
just
but that's also a team too. Are you really gonna try to get in a bidding war with like the Red Sox or the Cardinals or somebody like that for a starter
no,
and win? Probably not.
no, they're exciting as hell to watch. I'll say that.
Oh, they've been great.
Uh, some of the most fun they've been very very fun to watch. I regrettably will say the Cubs are fun to watch, but the Cubs are so Jekyll and Hyde that some nights it's awful to watch. Um, is there any significant news coming out of any significant trade rumors news? Um,
Not that I've seen. Other than the Red Sox being linked to everybody, I don't
yeah.
know.
Um, I know that a couple guys got pretty big extensions for how young guys have played. JJ Weatherholt got one. That kid from the Pirates got one. Have the Cubs extended
They
Piece
extended
together?
piece to get they extended
Yeah,
him off right at the beginning of the season.
they did. Okay. And he's had a good season. Yeah, there's just not a lot of things like happening yet and like it's just little things, but nothing has been concrete, which is I mean, we have what, a week and 2 days? It's gonna happen fast.
Yeah, it's coming up quick. That's for sure.
Maybe Freddie Peralta from the Mets could be on his move. Like, and there's
He's not had. Have you seen his? He's having a terrible year too.
yeah, oh yeah. It's Clay Holmes looking like Clay Holmes could be maybe
Play
somebody.
home. He just started a rehab assignment for his broken leg.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. You like 20 days ago we would have said to roll this Chapman as usual on the trade block because some dude that guy is how old is he?
36.
And he's unbelievable. Man, what a player he is.
He found something when he went to the Red Sox.
Yeah, he just wasn't it like an eye surgery or something? Where he couldn't like see or something like drastic was changed and he's still
Yeah, he figured out he had mechanic problems too when he left the Yankees and he bounced around. He went to Pittsburgh and then he went to Kansas City and then he won a championship with the Rangers and then he signed with Boston and he figured it out last year. He was one of the best relievers in the league last year and he's one of the best relievers again this year. They could have got there was a rumor that they had a deal done where he was going to the White Sox and they pulled the Red Sox pulled the plug on it.
Mm-hmm. Somebody from the Cardinals, I think, could be on, like Dylan O'Brien. If somebody wants back end of the bullpen, for some reason, the Cardinals keep finding these guys in their system that come in and are really, really good closers. So he might be on the move from the Cardinals. I could see him being dealt if we deal anybody. Um, yeah, and the Cubs are going to look for pitching, which kind of sucks because they have had look at reading here. They have 30. They've had 26 guys go to the injured list that have been pitchers this year. So if the Cubs go and they splash for a pitcher, then what are they going to run into whenever they? I mean, they'll have a great lineup of pitchers, but you're going to get another pitcher to add to this roster, and then you're going to have a ton of pitchers on the roster, which they need, but it could lead to problems in the future. They just move off of one of them, I suppose. Yeah, and there's these teams like the Tigers are going to hold up as long as possible because if they think they can win, they're not going to go Scooble, obviously.
No, that's why it's interesting. What is going on with like half of these teams? Nobody really knows who's gonna buy. I don't believe the Padres are one of those teams that's gonna sell. I don't believe what are the like you said what are the Reds gonna do? Who of value does Kansas City have to trade? Is it because they're not going to trade obviously not Bobby Witt. They're not going to trade probably Miguel Garcia. Like who of value do they have? Is it Waka? Is it Seth Lugo? Is it Estevez in the back of their bullpen who's been injured most of the year? What kind of value do some of these guys have? And if it's only 5 or 6 teams really selling, what is these bidding wars going to look like?
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's obviously, which is way harder and way more in depth than my knowledge of baseball is. There's obviously outside of guys that are MLB ready, got teams that are going to be looking for like prospect stuff.
It's also are the Red Sox going to really trade some of these higher end prospects that they have? Like, are they willing to part with a Marcel Meyer or any of these guys that are in their farm system, like
Yeah,
Franklin Arias, who's like the number 8 prospect in baseball? I doubt it.
and
Not for anybody they can't control for long term.
that's a move that signals you think you could win, and which 20 days ago you were firmly out of the entire thing, and you never know if a hot streak is just a hot streak or if it's sustainable.
Yeah, because you could trade for the wrong guy, and next thing you know, that ruins the chemistry of the team.
Yeah, it ruins the chemistry, or maybe the team just maybe you fall back at a 500 baseball or worse the rest of the year. You don't know.
You want to talk about football?
Yeah, let's do it. So we have college football coming up, and obviously NFL coming up. But I want to talk a little college football. We do have a top 25 from ESPN. I have here. So their preseason top 25. I'm gonna read it out. Is the Ohio State Buckeyes, the Oregon Ducks, the Georgia Bulldogs, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Texas, Indiana, reigning national championship Hoosiers, Miami Hurricanes in 7, Ole Miss 8, A&M 9, LSU 10, Texas Tech 11, BYU 12, 13 Oklahoma, 14 Michigan, 15 Penn State.
I'm surprised Notre Dame didn't opt out of that poll because they weren't number 1.
Yeah, surprised too. 16 Alabama, 17 Washington Huskies, 18 Utah, 19 Iowa, 20 USC, 21 Louisville, 22 SMU, 23 TCU, 24 Houston, 25 Tennessee out of the ESPN preseason poll.
No surprise, no Group of 6 schools.
Yeah, of course not.
You're a big SEC guy because you're a Missouri guy.
Yeah,
I'm a big Group of 6 guy because obviously on another platform I cover UNLV,
Yeah,
so I'm a big UNLV, Group of Six homer. I probably know more about the Group of Six than you do, and you probably know more about the SEC than I do.
significantly, I'm sure. I think it's like a preseason poll. There's a lot of things that are based on hype. There's a lot of things that are based on who got into the playoffs last season, and then obviously preseason. There's just a lot of talk that we just really don't. We're going to talk about it, but it doesn't really matter. I think a lot of these things are fair. I think the teams that have the most, I think the obvious team that has the most to prove and wants and needs to have the most successful season is Texas.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting that you're probably going to hear a lot of hype around Arch this year, from the number one pick to potential Heisman race. Maybe not as much as last year, but it's definitely going to be. There's definitely going to be the hype around him, and then next thing you know, he's not even picked to be the QB1 on for the SEC.
Yeah, and then because of the return of Trinidad Chambliss. And then we have the CBS poll, which similar, but they Ohio State in first, so agreement there between the two polls. Texas in second, Oregon third. Oregon gets Dylan Raiola out of Nebraska. Notre Dame, Georgia. I think Georgia. I think they need to have a resurgent year. They haven't been bad, but they need to reestablish themselves as possible kings of the SEC. And they definitely want to contend with Texas for that. Indiana at 6. I don't know if it's disrespectful to Indiana considering what they lost, but I'm glad they're finally at least firmly top 10. That
What
I
were
just have,
what were they preseason last year?
I think top 15, top 20.
I don't remember, because I know that there was a lot of question marks around Mendoza when he came in last year.
Their preseason ranked 20 in the AP poll. Number 19 coaches, number 23 in final preseason SP plus. I think I'm glad there's no longer at least a disrespect to the program in general that I guilty of it too. And that they're in 6. It's just going to depend on what they get out of those players. But if there's any coaching staff in the country that can maximize what they have, I think pretty clearly it's been proven that Indiana can do that. 7 Miami. I'm interested to see they beefed up their defense was already good last year. They lose a couple guys, so they bring in really good linebacker from Missouri, or defensive edge from Missouri. They bring in a couple other guys on the defense. I think that defense is going to be really physical, really good again. Interested to see how the offense runs without, what they losing what they had. A&M 8th, average A&M ranking. 9th, Texas Tech. What do we think about Texas Tech losing their quarterback and with his gambling stuff and how their offense
I didn't really believe the hype in Sorsby.
okay.
Honestly, I didn't
You think
see
they're
it.
going to find what they need in their offense with the backup?
I think you have a guy who's been in the system, so it's not like it's kind of a drop off. You kind of know what to expect. I think it kind of changes a little bit of maybe what they would do, but I think they're still going to win the Big 12. I would be surprised if they lost a game. They have a pretty weak schedule.
Um, and 10th, I forgot about this. And 10th on this poll is Oklahoma. Oklahoma will be a good team. I'm sure Brett Venables is a good coach. Did you see the John Mateer
Wait,
quote? Yes,
Oklahoma isn't number 10. They were picked number 7 in the SEC.
yeah, I know. It's a little shocking. I think there's a little bit of overrating. Did you see the John Mateer quote from SEC Media Days?
No, I didn't.
They asked him about reading defenses. He said, "There's not really any time to think. If someone is open, you just throw it to them," which might describe John Mateer to a T. As
I
a
mean,
quarterback.
is that as bad as the Colorado quarterback quote that they said they didn't even watch film last year? They just
Yeah, no, nothing's as bad as that. But boy, I think Oklahoma's going to need more if they want to contend. I think John Mateer wasn't great last year for them. I think he was more average than people were willing to admit. And boy, I hope that's just something he said because you need more out of the quarterback position if you're Oklahoma than you got last year, and that does.
Summerall had a gem of a quote. He said, "Growing up, it was NFL and the SEC
Hmm.
or something like that."
Yeah, which is true. Alabama in 11th on this poll, probably some of the lowest Alabama's ever been rated between 16 on the ESPN and uh 11 on this poll. I don't love what Kalen DeBoer's done with that program. I think he's changed it in ways that aren't great. They lose.
So I asked you this off camera, but I'll ask you this now: is he on the hot seat?
He should be for the expectation of Alabama. The hot seat in college football, especially, is all about expectation of the fan base and expectation of the school. And the expectation at Alabama is you're going to contend. If he is not firmly in the playoff this year, I would not expect to see him back leading the Crimson Tide next season.
I asked you this too. When was the last time Alabama was not picked in the top 3 of uh
The
the
SEC.
SEC?
Been a minute, I'm sure. I'm not for sure if they were totally last year, but yeah, they're in 6th, and I don't see a reason why they can't drop even more this year. Because I think we have proven programs in Georgia, Texas. Ole Miss brings back Chambliss. A&M will do what A&M does. We have the exciting Lane Kiffin LSU Tigers. And then Alabama, and then right behind them on their heels is teams like Oklahoma, Tennessee, Florida, Mizzou, South Carolina with Lenora Sellers again. Like, who's to say any of those programs can't catch up? Auburn in 12th with their new coach. I mean, it's going to be tough, I think. And that's also going to be a really hallmark of this season. Is there was so much, if you remember, so much coach movement, so much coach movement, so much program movement over this past season. And of course, the natural loss of teams lost key players in the draft, of course, into graduation too. But there's so much coach movement that there's some of these programs, like an Ole Miss, like an Auburn, like Florida, like Michigan, that we don't know exactly what they're gonna look like because it's not a couple of years ago we knew what some of these programs were gonna give us. At least we had a baseline. Now there's a bunch of guys that
I really am interested to see how Whittingham does at Michigan.
I would say my prediction is solid. I don't know if they'll be a contender, but very solid. That's what he seems to coach. My biggest excitement is for Florida and Auburn with their coaches. You have Group of 5 guys coming in and taking over these programs that have been excited young coaches, and we'll see what they do. 12th on this poll is Ole Miss. 13th is LSU. We obviously have the Lane Kiffin saga between those two teams and those two schools and programs, and now Lane Kiffin is obviously at LSU. We'll see. I mean, Lane Kiffin has proven he can coach for sure, so we'll see what goes on with that. USC at 14, that feels high.
I don't think it's high. I think he had a good recruiting class.
He did.
And you return Jaden Mayava, who's arguably going to be he's a first round pick talent.
Yeah, I
shout out to him. He went to UNLV.
I don't know about you, Mike, but do you really believe in Lincoln Riley?
No, I think he's on the hot seat, and I think that they missed the playoff again. He's getting fired.
I think he deserves it.
I've had an argument with some of these people around UNLV that I've said I think Dan Mullen, if UNLV does well this year, obviously he's going to be rumored for every job.
Yeah, not the highest jobs, but a job in the past.
I could see him going to USC.
That's yeah. I agree, and I'm not a fan of Lincoln Riley. I just don't think he's ever been that good as a coach. BYU at 15, Michigan at 16, 17 Tennessee. Tennessee also has kind of a prove it season on their hands, a little bit with their head coach, where I don't know if he's firmly on the hot seat, but that's a program that expects things. Their only playoff appearance has been a rout, and they need to improve. Penn State, new coach. Washington at 19 in this poll. SMU at 20. Missouri at 21. My Missouri Tigers. Lost a lot on the defensive end. Offensive line has a few injuries going into the season, but you have Caden Green. Unfortunately, we picked up a left-handed quarterback in Austin Simmons from Ole Miss who lost his starting spot to Trinidad Chambliss. But he's left-handed, so Caden Green won't be on his blind side anymore, which was a strength of the roster. Our starting running back also got shot. The number one running back in the country got, I repeat, folks, shot in the offseason, but it seems that he has been cleared to begin rehab. So we're hoping, both Missouri fans and I think most college football fans are hoping that Ahmad Hardy can be ready by week 1 or 2 because he's such an exciting guy to watch, and he's just so good. So we'll see if Missouri can stay in the top 25 and prove that they belong. They constantly get made fun of for being picked in the top 25 to prop up SEC wins, despite them not being their actual case for them, and other schools in the SEC are more in that description. Utah at 22, 23 Iowa. Iowa's getting picked awful high in the top 25 in these polls. I wasn't expecting that. 24 Louisville, and then 25 Florida. My thing about some of these about preseason rankings, especially, is Florida as a program has nothing to show that they deserve that. It's just the new coach and what he can do with a Power 5 SEC roster and money. But obviously these rankings are going to change. You know who else is on the hot seat? And I'm going to pull up the SEC Media Day ranking. I think that firmly on the hot seat is Shane Beamer at South Carolina.
Oh, I think so too, 100%.
You had Lenore Sellers last year. You weren't good. You have him again this year. And listen, it's Power 5 football, especially in the Big Ten. Maybe not a couple schools in the Big Ten, but especially in the SEC. I'm not saying the SEC is better, but the expectation at every single school in the SEC outside of Kentucky is we better be good at football. We better be trying to be good at football. And
I think Kentucky has that now.
But
he needs a few years though.
Yeah, Kentucky is a new head coach too, and Will Stein, and they're going to try. But like Kentucky's a school that's okay, not having but every school in the SEC outside of Kentucky is like, we're trying to be good at football. We're trying to, and if he doesn't prove it again or do something, he's going to be gone. So the SEC Media Day order of finish in the league is number 1 Georgia, number 2 Texas, Ole Miss, A&M, LSU, Alabama, Oklahoma, Tennessee to round out the top 8. A lot of the typical names. I don't see anybody too overrated. My only picks for overrated might be Oklahoma and Tennessee, but they're at the bottom of the 8, so fair enough. On the other half, Florida at 9, and I don't know why at all. I think it's just I don't understand it. I think we deserve more respect, but I'm fine being at 10 because I'd rather be at 10 than at 5 and not have a great season. But I think it's ridiculous that we always get picked in the bottom half. At 11 is South Carolina. They better improve that. Like we just talked about, 12 Auburn, 13 Vanderbilt. I wouldn't be surprised if Vanderbilt drops even more. I don't know how good that team really is. I think Clark Lee is a good coach, but I don't know if they're going to be able. I mean, 13th is not a great finish, but I think new coach at Kentucky and Mississippi State trying to improve could be nipping at their heels. And then firmly in last, Arkansas. big coaching off season. All these teams are getting new head coaches. There's so much head coach movement, and somehow Arkansas manages with when they obviously needed a new head coach and we're going to move on from him to not really acquire one of the big head coaches. I think that's a big miss for the Razorbacks. I don't know about you, but them not
Yeah,
being
they struck out on almost every coach they tried to get.
yeah, which is just we also can go over the preseason, the SEC, because I don't know why SEC does their media day so much earlier than every other conference, but preseason All SEC team quarterback Trinidad Chambliss knocking out Arch Manning. Um, Running back tandem of Kawan Lacey and Ahmad Hardy. Interesting fact: Kawan Lacey, freshman at Mizzou, so basically Mizzou is running back you in the SEC. We've also led the SEC multiple times in rushing this decade. Cam Coleman, wide receiver, Texas. Ryan Coleman Williams, um, from Alabama. Trey'Dez Green, tight end, LSU, and then offensive line of Trevor Goosey, Cade Green, Jordan Seaton, Ernest Green III, and then uh, center Drew Bobo from Georgia, and then let me. Some of this is getting covered up. I apologize by Google. And then on the defense, we have Colin Simmons, Will Eccles, Dylan Stewart, Princell.
Random question. You haven't gotten there yet. Whit Weeks, all conference. Is he still dating Kiffin's daughter?
I don't know if he is, but yeah. I thought about making that joke earlier that there's a distinct chance that Lane Kiffin sees Whit Weeks and has seen Whit Weeks in little clothing, which is weird. Just an odd position to be in as a father, I'm sure.
To be fair, what's weirder, that or him going down sorority row?
Weirder sorority row, and as a father, that seeing and coaching the guy that's dating your daughter, um, weirder probably. Linebackers: Whit Weeks, Xavier Atkins, Rasheem Biles, and then DBs: KJ Bolden, Xavier Brown, Bray Hubbard, and Ellis Robinson the fourth. I don't have too much to say on the preseason team. I just wanted to mention it. I think it will be, as long as Arch keeps it up, a definitive. I think it'll be an interesting battle between who's the best quarterback in the SEC between those two.
Yeah, I think that it's going to come down to whatever team has success.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's, Arch doesn't have the pressure on him this year, so is he going to actually be as good as he was hyped up to be?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it going to be, is he really not as good as what people hyped him to be either?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he had a good end of the season last year. I mean, he's gotten older. There's any family on the planet. I mean, that guy, if he's struggling with something, he can just get on his phone and call Uncle Peyton, Uncle Eli, and be like, "Hey," or Grandpa Archie, and be like, "Hey." So, I mean, I'd hope he can do a little something. It's interesting. The preseason quarterback rankings actually have Arch first, though. At least
Yep.
somebody's does. I think that will be the main battle, of course. Trying to think of anything else I really want to talk about with some of these teams. I think there's just a lot of new coaching. We'll see them and several coaches on the hot seat. Ohio State, second year Julian saying, they lose a ton of players, but it's Ohio State. They reloaded, of course. Um, who out of this top 25 do you think is going to be the biggest riser and the biggest fall?
I think Utah will be the biggest riser because
Okay.
they're at 2023. I think they'll be just fine. Um, I think the biggest fall. I don't see it in Oklahoma.
I was gonna say them, Alabama or USC.
Well, USC came in at what again?
On the CBS poll, 14, and then ESPN, they might not be ranked
I mean,
either.
Oklahoma was 10. So I mean, they could easily not finish ranked at all.
Yeah, and they're 13 on the ESPN. I agree. That's probably Oklahoma. I think Alabama too. I think the SEC, if one or two of these coaches end up being really good, they could have a really big struggle. USC was at 20 on the ESPN. Oh no, I think Kalen DeBoer needs to figure a few things out if he wants to stay at the top level of the SEC, because you have
Who's going to be their starting quarterback? Is it Keelan Mack?
probably, I think. Let me check them out. You mean Keelan Russell or
Or
Austin? You make
Keel. I mix their names, but I meant Keelan Russell.
Yeah. I don't know if we fully know yet. We probably do because we've had the media day, but maybe not. Um, I can just see, like, because you have the guys at the top in Georgia and Texas and Ole Miss and Texas A&M and LSU. You not only have to deal with that, but you have to deal with if Mizzou has a good season, if Tennessee has a good season, if Florida can resurge with their new head coach, if Auburn can resurge, like if Oklahoma doesn't end up falling, like that's going to be a lot for Alabama to deal with, and they haven't shown the bully mentality of running the ball and the mental toughness to win some of these games that they used to. And if you don't have that, it it might be tough for them. And if he doesn't get a playoff spot, he's gone.
Oh, I agree. I think he's gone. I think they should have let him go to Michigan, to be honest.
With all the moves that were happening, I maybe don't disagree, and it might end up being that way for them. But I'm very excited for the college football season. College football is just the best. Oh, I did want to look at some of these matchups that are week one matchups. Notre Dame, Wisconsin. Um, Louisville, Old Miss. That'll be an interesting game. Clemson, LSU. SMU, Florida State. Um, I mean, anybody else? North Carolina, TCU. Oh, that's another thing we could talk about with college football. Bill Belichick, second season with North Carolina. Honestly, don't know if last year could have gone much worse for him.
I think he's gone after this year. I think he's going to be one of those NFL coaches that try college and it just doesn't work.
Yeah. We got Auburn, Baylor week one. Um, Virginia, NC State. Colorado, Georgia Tech. Hey, listen, is we still got Dion coaching Colorado, correct?
Yeah, I think he's gone after this year, though.
He's another guy that if it's not good, it's gone. It's done. UNLV opens up with Memphis. That's not a bad open for UNLV.
No, UNLV probably plays arguably the toughest G6 non-conference schedule.
Who's
They
their big? Who's their big
they
games?
they play well, I meant just like against the G6.
Oh,
They open with Memphis, they go to Hawaii, then they have UNT who was really good North Texas who was really good last
yep.
year. Then they play Cal in Vegas.
Oh,
Then arguably they play. Then they have New Mexico on the road, North Dakota State at home. Like they arguably play one of the tougher G6 schedules. I interviewed Dan Mullen
Mhm.
at Mount West Media Days last week. I asked him about what their scheduling is like, and he said that they want to schedule basically lower P4s or the top of the G6 because it's going to help them on their resume for the CFP.
Yeah.
And so, like next year, if you look at their future schedule, next year they play JMU and Akron, and then they play Arizona State and USC.
Wow. Wow.
So, like, but they added Memphis late to their schedule. That's why they're playing on week 0.
Why are
And
they
I had a
oh,
quote. I had a
go ahead.
quote from him that said they called schools around the country. Schools won't play them.
Yeah. Because it and with the way some of this is trending towards, it's better to have a power four loss than it is to run the risk of losing to a high end group of six. Um,
Well, so like if you look at when Barry Odom took over UNLV, he played Vanderbilt and he played Kansas and he played somebody else I forget. His
gross.
second year, he really beefed up his schedule. He played Houston on the road and they beat him. They played Kansas on the road and they beat him. They played Syracuse in Vegas. They lost that game in overtime. And then in their bowl game, they played Cal and they beat Cal. And that's not count. That doesn't count playing Boise State, who was the number 4 in the CFP rankings twice that year. Like
Mhm.
they've really tried to beef up their schedule to look respectable. Now it's those schools like Houston and stuff. They won't play UNLV anymore because UNLV beats them.
Yeah, and they don't want to run that risk. Um, who do you think? Because you're a group of a six guy, who do you think? Give me 2 or 3 teams to watch in the group of six this year that could be contending maybe for that final slot in the playoff.
It's gonna be the two knowns of UNLV and Boise, in my opinion. Boise's gonna run the new Pac-12.
Yeah. What
I think
about what about JMU with their new head coach and
I'm intrigued to see how Billy Napier does back down at the G6 level because he did really good at Louisiana.
Mhm.
So I would say a dark horse. USF had a lot of hype, but they weren't picked to finish very well in the AAC. So I could see them kind of being a dark horse. Um, New Mexico has been picked by a lot of uh, places to be the G6 representative, but I don't believe in that program. They've only won more than 9 games, like 3 times in their school history,
damn.
and every time that they have, the following season they won 4 games. So I don't know. I mean, history obviously repeats itself, so we'll see if that happens. But I think San Diego State as well. San Diego State had the best, arguably one of the best defenses in the country last year. Um, they had their best player transfer to Texas Tech. They had a guy drafted in the second round and they continued to get better and invest in that program. So,
Yeah.
I think it's
Um,
going to be, I'm interested too to see how, what is it? Memphis has 70 new players, so they're going to be intriguing.
that's wild. That's crazy.
So Memphis's coach is the new coach at Arkansas. And when he basically took their whole roster, or
Yeah.
a lot of their roster transferred. They had 57 transfers and 16 freshmen in their class coming in. So
Whew.
That's the life of the G6. So that's just how it goes. Like when Barry Odom took over his first year at UNLV, he had 53 new guys.
Yeah.
Dan last year he had 2 returning players when Barry took half of his team to Purdue with them.
Yeah.
So
Um, another group of six question for you. Of the guys that got big jobs, who do you expect to be the best, and who do you expect to be back down to the group of six sooner rather than later?
well, who was it? Who was it that got big jobs? It was
Golish,
Tulane.
Summerall. Um,
I have the most confidence in Summerall. I don't know how Silverfield's going to do at Arkansas. Arkansas is just a really hard job.
and Will Stein too.
Yeah, Will Stein was the OC at Oregon.
Oh, true.
So, but Golish is an interesting one. Auburn's the same thing as Arkansas. It's a very hard job. Hugh Freeze, took that bounce down, went to the G6, did really well, went back up, and he failed. So it'll be very interesting. But I think if I had to pick of those three, it's probably Summerall.
Okay.
Summerall has high expectations. He said the right things, but it'll be interesting to see how it translates, especially with Philo at quarterback. I assume he starts, but they have a really I forget his name, but they have a really good freshman too.
Okay.
So
Okay. To close out, I wanted to talk quickly about a little bit of fighting, a little bit of UFC. We had the White House card. Everybody watched that. It was very interesting, very exciting in many ways. And then we had our the last we had UFC 329. It was the last really big one. And the headline for that was Conor McGregor returning to the ring to fight Max Holloway, giving us a little Legends matchup at the top of the card. Conor McGregor comes out, throws a flying kick, and already there's been rumblings that his knee was a little compromised beforehand. Just rips apart his ACL and meniscus on the first kick, and just it was not a fight, and then the fight ended. I don't know what you have to talk about that, but I just wanted what a disappointing, like, it was a pretty good, like, lineup beforehand. The fights are pretty good, and then that happened to just kill the night. And what do you think?
in my opinion, I think he was hurt.
Okay.
I think that you could see it when he took his it the I said this to my wife. The vibe was just it didn't feel right for a McGregor fight. It felt like this the whole thing, like his walkout wasn't the same.
Yeah.
Like he and when you saw him take off his shoes, it just didn't look
Yeah,
right.
that video looks pretty bad of him wincing when he takes off his shoe.
In my
Yeah.
opinion, I think he was hurt. I think he tore his AC. He had something because he said that it was his ACL and his meniscus. I could easily see him having a meniscus injury and trying
And
to
then,
fight, and then he steps wrong and his meniscus gives
but
out.
if you have that injury, why do you I mean, unless you just want to give yourself confidence that it can hold up and that's how you want to come out, but like I don't know why he threw that to start if his knee was compromised. Why do you start with a flying knee? With a flying kick?
I
With a
mean,
full jump?
yeah, he felt confident in it.
Just a rough end of that night. Before that, Patty Pimblett winner. Um,
Oh, I'm a big Patty guy.
Patty has been Scouses don't get knocked out. Gosh, Patty's great. He's one of the most fun young stars. Is he going to get another possible title fight after that win? We shall see.
I hope so. I want I my dream was he beat Conor one,
uh
and then it set up a Conor Patty fight just for the shit talking.
between between the Scousers and the Irish, that'd have been wild. Um, Shame that didn't happen. But just want to mention that as kind of as the UFC is now on streaming, it is now not just it has grown into a very mainstream thing. I want to cover it a little bit. I'm no expert in fighting, but I do watch some, and that was just as disappointing of an ending to a build up as you could possibly get. I asked this hypothetical to some of my friends. Would you rather have to like deal with the hype and the build up and that happening again? So basically, getting shot in the head, or watch the USA get demolished by Belgium in that hype and die by a death of 1,000 cuts in that game.
It's hard because they're both hard because it was hard watching the USA embarrass themselves,
Yeah,
but it was everybody was so looking forward to Conor coming back.
yeah. Neither was fun. But one was like abrupt and one was just like a whole match. And there was that 60 seconds where the USA tied in. We're like, oh, they can be back, and it just slowly and slowly got worse and worse. Final question on the UFC: do you think Conor has him to do another, or do you think he's done?
I think he finishes his contract. He has one fight left on his contract. I think that he wanted out of his contract and he tried to fight injured. That's the other thing I believe.
Mhm. Mhm. Ooh, I do have another last minute subject if you're ready to move on from UFC.
Yeah.
Whatever WWE ridiculous BS is happening between Logan Paul and Tom Brady is so annoying. And the post-career Tom Brady
It's been very
stuff,
odd.
it's really weird. He has tons of money. Like all he had to do post-career was get in the booth, get on a desk, be the respectable leader that everyone knew you to be, you know, talk about football, be like a minority owner or just be on TV and just be a regular dude. And he's not doing it and it's really it doesn't disparage his legacy on the field, but his legacy is like a guy where like he was known as like a peak like leader of men quarterback. And now to do this
I
stuff is weird.
I really don't understand the whole beef with him and Logan Paul.
It feels like some WWE manufactured like they're gonna fight at a SummerSlam. Why? I don't get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
And it's just so it's the like career of him and Belichick has been so odd comparison to like what you'd expect it to be, which is just Belichick retires as one of the greatest coaches in NFL history.
It
Brady,
was like I mean, it kind of started with that. He had the beef with Belichick. He
hmm
leaves to win on his own, which good for him. He did.
but he goes and actually and does his thing and wins on his own. Like it's not like that failed. And then he's a minority owner and he's in the booth and he I thought he improved drastically as a color guy between last season and this season. And then now he's doing this and I don't know, it's weird and I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the whole thing that threw me off about it was like that whole thing in front of Carl Anthony Towns. It's like at least if Towns in on it. I don't even think he was in on it.
No, it was yeah. Unless Logan Paul has actually like said something crazy to him, it just makes no sense. But like if I see them in like 2 years or like a year on a Netflix boxing card or something, I'm just like I'm out. I'm out on it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just the whole thing is weird.
Yeah, I don't like it at all. Um, and so that's that. And the last thing I'll toss out is we got football coming up. We want to do more mainly football stuff, but since we did some college, anything NFL you wanted to mention, talk about, think about?
I mean, I'm excited for training camp to start and to see some of
Yeah,
these guys, and I'm excited to see if the Raiders actually do start Kirk Cousins or not.
yeah, absolutely. I
Uh,
agree.
I'm, I'm interested to see how AJ Brown does as a Patriot.
And it's correct me hearing that Aaron Donald is practicing, correct?
I heard he was at the facility.
If do you think what is the viability that you think of Aaron Donald coming back? And if he's back along with Myles Garrett on that defense with that offense, are they automatically number one contender with a bullet? Which they're already close.
Oh, 100%.
It's just, do you think he'll come back? What do you think?
I don't think so.
Really?
Let's see. Did When was the last time? It says as of yesterday. This was on what do you call it? On NFL.com that his comeback story still has legs. Rumors of him are actually true, yet there's been no firm indicator one way or the other. He said McVay was asked about it. McVay said, I've crossed paths with Aaron Donald. What's special is we really have a special relationship. It's way bigger than football. I've heard him say it before, and it means the world to me, and I feel the same. And what he's going to do, he's thinking about this. He's going through the process and thinking about Aaron is what he does. He does it full speed ahead. So if he's actually playing and working out to get back into game shape, he's gonna do
Man,
it.
man, that's that would be very, very crazy. I think there's a couple teams in the NFL that are rightfully picked to maybe take a step back. Unfortunately, our Patriots are probably that team, but I'm also excited to see AJ Brown and
I don't
Travion
think
Henderson.
so.
I
I
don't.
don't think they.
My thing about the main two teams I always hear for this in this offseason have been the Bears and the Patriots. I think the difference is the Bears are in a way tougher division than the Patriots. Like the Patriots get 4 easy wins.
I feel like I don't feel the Patriots take a step back. I feel like Drake May's gonna get better. I feel like
Yeah,
they.
you got
I feel like Romeo Dobbs is a very underrated acquisition.
our defense
I
is getting a little bit better. Travion Henderson year two.
Yep, Travion's going into another year. You have Drake May taking a step. You actually have a legit receiver room.
Now I don't know. I think the step back would then be not making the Super Bowl. I don't know if their
Yeah,
win total will take a step back.
but I wouldn't say that's a step back because they weren't expected to be there last year.
It was an overachievement. Yeah, I'd agree. But then you have like people talking about the Bears. Do you think the Bears take a step back on their win total? They had so many close games, but it's also NFL's a close game league, and that division is tough.
Yeah, division's brutal.
Do you think?
You look at the Patriots schedule. Just to talk, we can talk. Obviously, we're gonna talk way more about this as camp
Yeah,
goes on and stuff.
yeah,
You look at their schedule, right? They open with Seattle on the road. They play Pittsburgh at home, and then they play Jacksonville on the road, the Bills on the road, then they play the Raiders.
yeah. I mean, that could be a tough start to the year, all things considered. Still,
But then you go Jets, then Chicago, then Dolphins, then Packers, Lions, Chargers, Bills, Vikings, Chiefs, then you play the Jets, Broncos, Dolphins.
yeah. I think there's at least 4 guaranteed wins on there because 2 teams in our division are awful. Uh
Well, like there's some teams they just have their number. Like they've had I don't think they lose to Pittsburgh again. Not they should have beat them last year.
yeah. But what do you think about like the Bears? Like, no, not the Bears. Like the Vikings. Do you think the Vikings? Do you think Kyler takes that? Like it's kind of happened a couple times with quarterbacks recently, like Sam Darnold, Baker, where they like go to their second or third team and they actually find something.
Well, the Vikings have had weird success with that. They had
Yeah,
I mean, what they had Darnold. Who did they have before that? Kirk kind of revitalized his career a
yeah,
little bit there. Darnold, who was Carson Wentz was playing really well at one point last year, like for a couple game stretch anyway
yeah,
before he got hurt. Like
yeah,
he kind of found something with him. Like it's interesting. I think it easily could be.
yeah. I don't, I don't disagree. I'm interested to see like a couple like of the running backs. They're getting like the guys that we consider 1-1 running backs are aging. Derrick Henry, Saquon, and I want to see how.
I think Saquon has a bounce back year, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
but Derrick Henry, I don't know if he's quite. Lamar Jackson was picked really really low on the NFL top 100, 69 if I believe. Like
But they do that year to year, and he didn't have a very good year last year.
true, I know, I know. I just saying
That's
it
why like
feels
I'm
it
not
feels
mad at
low
that at
for a
all.
player of Lamar Jackson's caliber. It feels low, but they didn't
Yeah,
have a great year.
but he was like 3 and 2 the year before, but those were he was basically the MVP.
Yeah. Bills have a new stadium they're going into, which we're gonna see how that is. I think Highmark was like a really big thing, like for the. Are they gonna have the wind and like the elements in the same way in this new stadium that they had before? I don't think they
Is
can.
it is it a dome?
I don't think it's a dome, but it's the Tottenham Stadium, so the fans are covered.
Uh, Has a 360-degree weather canopy.
Oh, do you think that's detrimental to the Bills?
No. Yes and no. I think that they had an advantage of people going up there in the playoffs and playing in the snow,
Yeah,
but
but
I
with, but
don't.
with a guy like Josh Allen being able to throw more might be
I think,
helpful.
yeah, I think it could be better.
Um, Another NFL question, kind of a funny question. Over under how many weeks until um Cam Scatterboo is hurt?
Is he even healthy right now?
I don't know. I saw him do that backflip, and I was like, dude, what are you doing? Did you see the backflip?
Yeah, I thought he almost broke his ankle again.
Yeah, I know.
Is he even going to play a lot for Harbaugh? Because Harbaugh doesn't put up with that kind of shit.
I don't know. I would love to have heard the conversation after Harbaugh saw him do a backflip, the phone call that ensued, because I'm sure there was one.
Oh yeah, 100% plus. I guess my question would be over under coaches getting fired this year because you had a lot of coaches overhauled last year. I put the over under on like 4.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a lot this year. I think a lot of guys have like solidly proven that have solidly solidified at least a place for the next season or two.
Who starts week 1 for the Browns?
Is
You gotta
Deshaun
think.
healthy?
Yeah, you gotta think it's Deshaun, right?
It can't. Have you seen the metrics on Shador? It can't be Shador.
I mean, it's not gonna be Dylan Gabriel.
And it can't be Dylan. It has to be Deshaun. I I think it has to be Deshaun. Oh man.
Who is it gonna be?
You know, that's something that's never actually had to like come to fruition was like the whole Deshaun Watson and the NFL thing because he's been hurt for so long and like the Browns giving him a huge contract. They've never really had the chickens come to roost with that because Deshaun has never played. And it's going to be interesting to see it finally like
It's really this was written. This article was written on the 21st, so 3 days ago. Going into after veteran minicamp, they said the edge was to Deshaun, but Shador is pushing him. It's going to be between Shador and Deshaun, and they said Dylan Gabriel is not going to factor into the competition.
okay. Oh, have we gotten our yearly I know we haven't had camp yet, but who's the Tennessee quarterback that's in the NFL
Cam,
that throws no like Tennessee Volunteer
oh,
quarterback.
Joe Milton.
Joe Milton, have we gotten our yearly? Joe Milton has taken significant steps in the offseason. He will be pushing the starter.
No, because he plays for the Cowboys.
Oh,
He's not going to push Dak.
yeah. Oh, that's another.
Oh, Cowboys predicted to cut Joe Milton.
Oh, okay. We're gonna get some teams gonna say Joe Milton has taken significant steps. The smoke of Shador pushing Deshaun, although Deshaun hasn't been really good or played in a while, is interesting. But I just don't see how Shador, if Deshaun's healthy, gets that job.
So wait, so the Cowboys signed Sam Howell. So did Sam Howell beat out Joe Milton?
I guess. Um,
They're gonna.
Cowboys are
I don't
the
know how they're gonna
Cowboys
be.
are interesting to me because they've improved their defense. I love the Caleb Downs signing, but this is like they have a lot of contracts and Dak's aging. This is like the next 2 seasons. This is it with these guys. They have to prove
They,
it.
they,
They have
they
to
got
now.
picking CD with Dak and Ferguson still,
Yeah,
and then
and
Javante Williams and Jaden Blue. They also drafted Trayshawn Holden,
yeah,
and then they added Caleb Downs, who is
they
gonna start. I would
uh,
assume at nickel.
yeah. They just they if their offense can be healthy and do what it does, and their defense can be 16th or higher in the league. they'll be really, really good. They need to have it now because if not now, when for this team?
Well, last year it was Dak got hurt again.
I know, but like that's what I'm saying is how many more years of this are they going to do?
Last year they were number 30 in total defense, 32 in passing defense, 23 in rushing defense. They can't get any worse.
No, but
Who did they hire at DC? Because they fired Matt Eberflus.
oh yeah, I don't know. Let me look that up. Uh, Christian Parker, youngest coordinator in franchise history, came from the Eagles. He was defensive pass game coordinator and defensive backs coach for the Eagles last year, or prior. Yeah, it has to improve, but this is like they're running down the wire with with Dak, and it needs to happen in the next year or two, otherwise it's not going to happen.
Yeah, Dak is 32. He's starting to get up there.
Yeah. Trying to think of anybody else that I'm super interested in talking about in the NFL. Um, yeah, I think we're going to see Kyler. Do we think it's that 8 is gone from the Vikings if Kyler plays well?
Oh, Dak didn't get hurt last year. He played in 17 games. They were just
Yeah,
bad.
no, yeah, their defense was just bad. Yeah. Did
It was
CD did
I was
CD
thinking
get hurt?
I was thinking of 2024 when he got hurt.
Yes. Did CD get hurt?
I think
Or
so.
so do you think JJ McCarthy, do you think 9 is gone and they're going to try to have somebody pick him up if Kyler is good? Or do you think they'll try to offload Kyler?
If Kyler is good, I think they keep him because he's making the vet minimum.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to think if McCarthy's going to have to be traded, he has
Yeah.
some value. Somebody's going to take a flyer on him. My guess would be like in Arizona, who they're not really playing for much. He can come in, and if Jacoby Brissett shits the bed, or they trade him at the deadline to a team that needs a quarterback or who has injury problems, bring him in to compete with Carson Beck.
What a quarterback room Arizona has. Jacoby Brissett, Keaton Slovis, my GOAT, and the guy that I would, if I'm creating an NFL franchise, will be my backup, and as long as he's healthy, Gardner Minshew. That guy, the stories about him like going and working out with the O line and making the boys happy and working out, aviators on in the underwear with the O line. That guy's on my team if I have any say. And then Carson Beck is the. We'll see what happens with Carson Beck.
He was a third round pick. They're going to give him a chance.
They will.
They're going to be so bad. He's going to get a chance.
Man, who's starting for Indiana this year?
Hoover, the transfer from TCU.
No, not sorry, Indianapolis.
Daniel Jones.
Is he's healthy and still there?
Yeah.
And Anthony Richardson, and then you have Riley Leonard still. Didn't Riley Leonard look really good at the end of the season last year?
I thought so. I was surprised.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they kept Richardson.
Yeah, Riley. Yeah, he had that really, really good game at the end of the year. I remember.
I thought you could at least trade Richardson for like a late round pick and get something for him.
Do you think Tyler Shaw is keeps up what he did?
I think he fits well in what Kellen Moore's trying to do, and I think that I think Kamara taking a pay cut is going to help them and free up some flexibility. And if they could, if they're any decent, they could add a piece. I mean, it really depends. Is Michael Thomas still on that roster?
I don't know.
Oh no, he's not.
Before we finish, which we'll finish soon, give me one team that you would say could be the sneaky we won't expect it in the playoff.
Like the Patriots were last year?
Yeah.
Let me look. Hold on. I mean, the easy answer I could say is the Chiefs.
Oh, well, yeah, okay.
I said the easy answer. Or the Bengals because Joe Burrow was out for most of the year.
Oh,
If we're taking a bad team,
a team
I
that's,
think it's I think it's Tennessee.
okay. Any
If
reason?
if Cam Ward can take the next step and be, progress like they want him to, they added some decent pieces. They have a new coach. Robert Saleh's their new coach. So if they drafted Cardinal Tate, they signed Wandale Robinson. They have Calvin Ridley still. Gunnar Helm at tight end, who's a good tight end. You brought in a defensive minded coach. They spent a little money on their defense. If Cam Ward can take a step, I think they could be a wild card team.
Yeah.
The division is weak enough playing in the AFC South that they could take that jump to finish 9-8, 10-7, and make the playoffs.
I think you do also have those couple teams that were hurt last year, like the Chiefs, the Commanders. We forget about them. The Commanders could. Jade McDaniels, maybe.
I don't like the Commanders roster.
That's fair. My team that I will say for a team that I think can make the playoffs is also another team, in the Indianapolis Colts.
I think the Colts can make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of teams, as long as they're in that division, that can take a step forward. The division, it's like the NFC South too. AFC South, NFC South, they both aren't very good.
No, but they all have like teams that are like feel like they're trying to like get there. I don't have anything else NFL to talk about. Do you have anything else NFL or anything around the wide world of sports that you want to discuss?
Hold on, let's see. They put the Titans at plus 390 to make the playoffs. The Colts are plus 170.
Okay.
So they think that they have somewhat of a shot. They think the Bengals will bounce back. They basically are saying the playoffs, betting odd wise, Bills, Ravens, Patriots, Kansas City, Chargers, Denver, Houston, and Cincinnati.
Who's the Chargers new coach?
They have Harbaugh still.
They have Harbaugh. Yeah.
They lost their defensive coordinator and Minter. Minter's the new head coach of the Ravens.
Oh, yeah.
We need to do an episode on the coaching tree of coaches getting arrested or going psycho from John Harbaugh.
Bring that prepared for the next episode. We will do it. And I suppose if we could do a whole we need to do a thing. What about the NBA? Well, we kind of covered it in NBA, but we do need to talk about some of the off the field, off season stuff that's happened in the NFL too.
Michigan had 11 staffers either arrested or banned from the sport for rules violations that were under Harbaugh.
Yeah, well, you know what? Our head coach was, was had an affair with Diana Rossini. So what can we say?
At least he wasn't banned. He was just fucking a reporter.
Yeah, no, like he wasn't doing anything illegal or wrong. She was doing something that in our profession is egregious.
I want to know how much Robert Kraft in the league paid her to be quiet. Because you not heard a peep from her.
No less than he's paid other women to be quiet in his life. All right.
Because I think there's a reason they've backed Vrabel. He's not going anywhere, and you haven't heard anything from Diana Rossini.
No.
Robert Kraft has done that plenty.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if there's any owner that will do that, it's Robert Kraft.
There's a few other owners that are also up there, but yeah, no, very, very horrible. Also, remember the quote that's like, "You'd be surprised how many of these insiders like are doing what Diana Rossini did," and everybody's like, "What? Who? Schefter's with who?" What's
No, but I think any of these female ones that flew up the ranks real quick, they're not doing it the right way.
Well, I think it's also fair for us. It would be unfair for us to not only say that I'm sure the way that Schefter and some of these other guys also get their news might not be that way, but I'm sure there's things happening that are also not good on their end as well. I'm sure there's plenty of ethical ways to be an insider, but I'm also sure that there are plenty of unethical ways to be an insider.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, Ryan Clark got fired,
Yeah, he did.
and our reaction is okay.
We can't hear about his poor takes anymore.
Everyone wants to talk politics or race when it comes to Ryan Clark. My main thing is I don't think he was very good at his job. So,
No,
and
I
just
don't.
and do you remember what he said? Do you remember what he said to that longtime NFL reporter? When
No, I
he
don't.
they were on TV and a guy's making a comment about a player just doing his job, saying what he needs to say on TV, being an NFL reporter, and he says, "Oh, with respect, you didn't play the game." Bro, this is like a 20-year.
No, he said that to Pat McAfee.
But he also said it to a guy who hadn't even played in the league. Either way, buddy,
Oh, it was the guy on was it not the show that's on that used to be on before First Take.
don't know. I don't know. I don't remember
Or
the
no,
show.
it's the show that has Stephen A on it now. I know who it was. I know exactly what you're talking about. But have you ever seen his debate with Pat McAfee?
Yeah, where Pat McAfee said, "Have you scored a touchdown? Have you thrown a touchdown pass? Have you kicked?" Yeah. Um, Ryan Clark. It was Peter Schrager. So so
Yeah,
Ryan.
NFL Insider now, right?
Yeah, yeah. Ryan Clark said, Peter Schrager was talking about wide receivers, and he said that's the non-player in you. In response, Schrager said Clark was belittling him, and most sports media came to Schrager's defense. Yeah, because buddy, he's a 20. Just because he didn't play in the NFL, he's a 20-year NFL reporter. He's allowed to do his job on national TV and make an opinion. And Ryan Clark arrogantly says, "Well, you didn't play." No shit.
It's like I didn't play football, but I probably know more about football and stuff than 95% of people do.
Yeah, I played soccer till I was 18. Was not good at it. I still know a ton about soccer and can comment on it. Like it's just like it's ridiculous. Like that was just such a ridiculous thing and such a spit in the face to like all the good sports journalists that do good, honest, like great work out there. And just for that, like when you work at a company like ESPN, who is built on sports journalism and good sports journalism, and you say something like that, he should have been fired that day for that comment. Where do you think you're working, buddy? Who do you think pays your salary right now?
I will say, who was it that came on that said it's Pat McAfee's fault that all these guys are getting fired?
Yeah, because they have to pay him.
Who was it that said that? Was it Saban?
Might have been. That would have been fun. That's a funny saving quote if it is.
I think it was Saban.
And then what's the new what Bussin' with the Boys is gonna have a show now with Josh Pate or something is the response.
On ES. Oh, it was JJ Watt.
JJ Watt.
Not JJ Watt, not Nick Saban.
Uh that's
JJ
funny.
Watt's the one that called him out and he said it wasn't funny. Pat McAfee then found it funny.
That's great. That's good stuff. Um
But yeah, I saw that. Like they're trying to bring in more of the guys like Pat McAfee.
well that's the modern media for better or for worse in sports. And I think the problem is that ESPN went away. Like I think they should meld that, which is because you had guys like Ryan Clark and you have like Stephen A and whatever that are like more towards like takes artists like the popular people in sports media now. I think ESPN should also meld that with good quality sports journalists and bring back like shows where it's about like
Like I looked
professional
forward to watching.
coverage.
I looked forward to watching like the college football highlight shows and stuff when they had what's his face? It would be like why can't I think of his name? Was it Mark Jackson? Not Mark Jackson. It was when they had Lou Holtz. I can't remember the black guy's name. And was it Reese Fowler, Chris Davis?
Oh, it was Reese. Yeah, yeah. And like
And
Reese,
they would do like the helmet sticker stuff and like
yeah,
actual highlights and talk
yeah,
football. Like I looked
yeah,
forward to that. Or like when the baseball was actually talking about baseball.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
you had an NBA show that was actually when
And
Stephen A was actually respectable and
and what and what that is,
he
what those shows were was a meld of quality sports journalism, the fun of somebody like a McAfee, like either a former player or just like a media person that's fun and kind of has that brand, the quality sports journalism, and the former player perspective. You need like all three of those things together. And I think ESPN has went away to just having like pure takes artists or pure shows of like former players.
like who's the bald lady that they bring on that talks about sports? I'm like, what the fuck? Like your takes are
Yeah.
so terrible.
Yeah. Like if you're a takes artist, you have to have a particular vibe to be on national TV. And for a lot of them that they have, don't it doesn't work. And I think it's more than a few. And I think they've tried to get away from the sports journalism thing. I'm like, no, you need actually like professional covers of sports, not just like insiders and like takes people. But then I also appreciate with like Pat McAfee, where it's sports, it's not that serious, and we can have fun with it too. That's why shows like College Game Day work because they meld all those things and it's fun and it's good.
I can't wait for Pat McAfee to be hyping up crowds again.
Oh, so fun.
My wife was looking at schedules of where College Game Day is. It's gonna be close to Dallas,
Mhm.
and she wants to go to Oklahoma Ole Miss on College Game Days there
Ooh,
in Norman because it's like a 2 hour drive. It'll
that's
be
not a bad drive. No.
I'll be like, hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah, that'd be sick. I'm still sad that they didn't go to Mizzou, Kansas last year. I still think they should have. ESPN Game Days was there, but the SEC like media was there, but they should have been there for that matchup. That was fun. No, I love College Game Day. I'm so excited that college football's back. I mean, it's back in what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
UNLV plays week 0 on the 29th
Okay,
against
so still a
Memphis.
month. Okay. We still have a month of baseball. Doesn't okay. Have you noticed this in the past week and or even 2 weeks? The difference in sports when there's at least a World Cup, which I don't say at least, when there's something like a World Cup in summer, when it's right now just baseball and WNBA and a smattering of other things, I've been struggling in comparison to whenever it was like the World Cup was on
Oh,
too.
dude, when I worked in the sports book, it was so bad this time of year. Seeing people bet on either the WNBA or the CFL.
Yeah. Or they're betting home run props. Yeah. It is just like it's just tough and all we have to do is talk about preseason stuff and like WNBA's been good and we've talked about a little WNBA and we'll talk about it more and baseball's enjoyable but the World Cup and soccer and things certainly improve.
I will say this. Uh, it's funny that ESPN is doing all these cuts with them hosting the Super Bowl this year. So I hope they bring in better NFL content, guys.
Yeah. Um Final thing before we go, soccer season's also coming up. Um I'll talk about some
When do those leagues start back up?
mid-August and MLS is going on right now. Um I have teams. Do you have soccer teams you're gonna watch or anything post this World Cup where soccer drew you?
No, I'm more intrigued to actually watch them now.
Yeah.
But I don't really have a team that I've ever followed.
Do you have
I've never been into it like that.
okay. Do you want to be assigned a team, or do you have any player in particular that you're going to be like, ah, I'm going to try to catch a couple of their games?
I'm just gonna follow more of like what the United States guys do. You know,
Yeah,
Stalogan and Pulisic, and
yeah,
see how those go. I mean, the only time I really watched soccer in the past, I mean, I grew up playing it, so like I know it. But I mean, like Premier League at 6 a.m. was when I was working in the sports book, and
yeah.
it was on, and people were betting on it and watching it and being able to see it. Like
Let me
that
tell you
was cool.
something. When you wake up on a Saturday morning in the fall and you start at 6 a.m., you start with a Chelsea Man United match at 6 a.m. And then you go through soccer and you go through all the soccer leagues, and then at noon and 11 or 10 college game day gets on, you put that on your second TV, and then you start into a whole day of college football. That's a good day, man. That's a good
Yeah,
day.
but I lived on the West Coast. It's not like that.
Hey, welcome to
College game college game day is on at 8 a.m. here.
well, hey, you, rumors are that that's changing.
No, but like it would be funny. Like like we'd wake up on a Saturday morning, 8 a.m. The first thing we want to turn on is Pat Mac
Yeah,
college game day.
it's coming, man.
I wasn't waking up at 4 a.m. to watch Premier League, but
It,
now that we're going to Central Time, it's going to be easier.
it's coming, man. I would say if you're gonna catch, especially Premier League, your main guy to watch, most exciting guy, I would say is,
Jamal.
well, he's in La Liga. But if you're looking to watch USA players, the most exciting club season I think you could watch is either Balagans, especially if he gets a move, um, or Malik Tillman. One of those guys would be really fun to watch, and then you could, of course, can watch the typical guys. Chris Richards at Crystal Palace and Tyler Adams at Bournemouth will be in the Premier League, so they'll be exciting, and we'll see how that goes.
Why is Michael Parsons so weird?
What did he do?
He tweeted today that he has a foot fetish.
I was not aware that Micah Parsons is a weird guy and tweets weird things. I'm
And
just now hearing about this.
you know that Moneyline football page or the ML football page on
Yeah,
Twitter. It tweeted trending Green Bay Packers superstar pass rusher Micah Parsons recently admitted he has a foot fetish and loves toes. I have a foot fetish. In question, you like toes? And he goes, yes. Truly, they go, Parsons is truly one of the most unique players in the league. And then Parsons quote tweeted it and said facts with the emoji covering his eyes.
you know, Twitter and social media has allowed us to get in touch and to learn things about people that are so interesting and become so communicative. Sometimes for free, you just don't have to say a word. Please stop. That's all I got for tonight. If you're
Oh,
okay.
here's an interesting rumor. I know
Okay.
we've talked a lot about basketball on
Yeah.
our Hoops podcast,
Yeah.
but here's an interesting one I saw. Rich Paul represents Ben Simmons, and he was on a Rich Paul was on the podcast, and he said Ben Simmons and Philly might reunite now that LeBron's there, and he might be a backup big option.
That'd be interesting. I don't mind that. I've always thought that Ben Simmons should reinvent himself as Draymond. Um,
I got one before we go. What do you think of all this tarps off?
I like the tarps off. I think it's fun. I also responded to the Brandon Walker comments about Cardinals fans. But I like the tarps off. I think it's fun. I don't like when it's like forced, but like when it was like organic, like when St. Louis it was organic and it started, like that's fun. Like it's just people having fun. I think baseball is a sport that leans itself to like part of watching baseball is like meeting the family next to you and talking to them. It's a very social sport to watch where like not like a pitch is a ball and you turn over and you meet the guy next to you or whatever. You go get a beer and a hot dog. Like it's kind of chill. So when things are organic and people meet each other and do fun things, I like it. Um, I want to talk about Brandon Walker and Mark Titus shitting on Cardinals fans and saying that they're the worst. Adam Wainwright already responded and explained why Cardinals. Number one, Cardinals fans have been labeled the best fans of baseball by other sports writers and other opponent players because of their respect for baseball and their respect for how the game is played, and that Cardinals fans will often. I remember as a kid, like if another team made a good play, my dad would clap. Like the Cardinals fans will, if a when players leave teams like the Phillies or the Yankees, they come back and they get booed. When Nolan Arenado came back the other night, he got a standing ovation at his first at bat. When the Cardinals fans respect former players that played for them, they don't boo. And when another team makes a good play, we respect it. When another team has a good player, we respect it. We're very respectful of of legends that are late in their career getting at bats and getting pitching appearances and applauding them when they do well. We gave a standing ovation to Paul Skeens for throwing a shutout versus us. We're very intelligent fans. We respect the game of baseball, and we didn't give ourselves the name. If you don't like it, I think you just don't like baseball and you don't like what good fandom is, and you just prefer fans like Philly fans who will boo and jeer and just be the worst. And that's your prerogative. Whatever type of fandom you like, you like. But to say that they're the worst fan base and they're holier than thou just because we don't boo and we don't do stuff like that is a little ridiculous. So
I mean, isn't he a Mississippi State fan?
yeah, he's also a Mississippi State fan, and aside from the cowbells, they literally and Dak Prescott and the legacy of the late Mike Leach, who I will forever respect. Um, I, what do you have? So you know, and they both live in Chicago, and they're both pseudo Cubs fans now because they live in Chicago, despite Brandon being from the South. Well, he's a Braves fan, but like he goes to Cubs games, and Mark Titus grew up in Indianapolis. Wow. Oh my God. What a shock. A Chicago based sports podcast doesn't like Cardinals fans.
I
Ooh.
will say, I think Red Sox fans are pretty decent fans.
In
Only,
comparison to other
oh,
Boston fandom,
but
it's
but
not the
but they
worst.
but I think they'll root for anybody playing against the Yankees. They hate the Yankees.
That's
Other
that
than
that's fine. You can have a rival. I just like the fans like if a Philly player leaves, like they'll boo their own players when they're playing bad, the Phillies. Like if you think that's a better fandom than a team that will applaud a opposing pitcher for throwing a good game, that's on you, man.
the funniest thing is like watching a Red Sox game, and then the first thing you see is like they'll be playing somebody random, and you see Yankees suck chants in the background.
Yeah, I would say the Red Sox out of all the Boston teams are probably the most respectful fan base of the Boston fan bases. Um, the Celtics and the Bruins are brutal, and Patriots are.
Oh, come on. Don't here's one post of LeBron James on Philly opening night and it's Conor McGregor.
Don't put that into the world. We don't need that. We don't need that. I will say the second Conor McGregor threw that kick and like fell to the like the mat it was called. I turned to my roommate and I was like, "Are we gonna we're gonna get the Aaron Rodgers flying like bringing out the American flag memes in the next 20 seconds on Twitter."
Yeah, that was it's not been good for him. He posted a video of like him working out today, like doing it like like leg curls and stuff. I was like, so did you actually tear your ACL like you're saying, or are you still
Yeah.
working out?
Yeah. Speaking of the Joe Milton preseason, he's taken big steps. And you just mentioned Ben Simmons. Are we going to get a Ben Simmons hitting uncontested threes compilation? We're going to
Oh,
get
oh,
that from.
probably.
We're going to get that. When does that drop? That drops soon, right? You know.
Well, now that Rich Paul's trying to push him to go to Cleveland, you're gonna see it here soon.
Oh, that was my other thing I thought of. Do you know who else Rich Paul is now representing?
No, of
Balogun.
course he is.
Yeah. Balogun did one LeBron silencer, and he's like, I got to have that guy. Like, that's got to be mine. All right. I think that's all I got for tonight. If that's all you have,
Yeah, I'm good.
uh,
We'll end on that.
we'll end on that. All right. 2 hours in, long podcast, longer than intended. But hey, we're doing a little around the horn. We talked about a little bit of everything. If you liked, please like and subscribe. I'll be back next time to talk about the end of the World Cup, and then I also have another episode coming out soon about what is next for the United States men's national team and what this generation has to do after the Belgium game to to finally prove to themselves that they can win. So tune in for that. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.